Star Wars Armada players, and welcome to Rogue Group Workshop. I'm your host, Lieutenant Horn. If you enjoy my content, please remember to like and subscribe. Comments are always welcome. Today I'll be reviewing the products from Mr. Dulkes' Etsy store. Now, these products are for Star Wars Armada, not Star Wars Legion. That's right, this is my first Star Wars Armada product review. Instead of a Star Wars Legion terrain review. So I'll be reviewing mainly his Armada tray system, which you can find on his store for $20. And I'll also be reviewing his Armada ship storage boxes, or ship hangars as I will call them in this video. And those are $34 for the Rebel faction, $34 for the Imperial faction, and $34 for both the Republic and Separatist factions combined. Or if you have all four factions, you can spend $73 and get the boxes for all the factions. The link for his store, again, can be found in the description below. Now, you can also save an extra 10% on your order if you use the coupon code Rogue Group Workshop. Again, that is Rogue Group Workshop, and it can be found in the bottom left-hand corner of this video, and it will save you 10% on all Armada items in his shop from now until the end of the year. If you miss out on this sale, or you come to this video in 2026, don't worry. If you are penny pinching, he holds sales every now and then. I don't know specifically when, but he does. And so you can always try to wait until a sale happens, or you can support this product and purchase it at full price, which is what I did, and I would highly recommend that you do that, because I know for a fact that he spent a lot of time and effort and money to perfect these prints so that they would be safe for your ships to transport. So again, this is Mr. Dulkes' Etsy store. The link can be found in the description below. And if you use the coupon code Rogue Group Workshop, you can get 10% off of all Armada items in his store from now until the end of the year. So first up for the storage hangars will be the Galactic Empire. And this can be purchased for this faction, all the hangars, for $34. Or you can spend $73 to get all the factions. And I'll include the Rebels, the Republic, and the Separatists. So here's the Imperial class Star Destroyer. And you'll notice that, multiple things. Every single hangar here is going to be two pieces. You'll have your lid and you'll have your base. And then there's actually a third piece if you so choose, and that is the ship placard. As you can see, they're interchangeable. So here we have the Chimera, and we also have the Imperial class Star Destroyer. And so these are interchangeable. And it just allows you to print out a box, especially if it's used to store more than one ship type. So you could store an Architans in the same box as your assault carriers, or a Krelling Corvette in the same box as your Hammerheads or your hard cells. And so that just allows you to change them if you're using these just to store them, transport them from your home to your game, then you can do that. Or if you're using them like I am, where you're storing all of your ships in boxes for storage, protection, and transportation, then that's also another thing you can do. Now, these are AMS compatible, so you can actually print these with dual colors. I did not. I painted mine on because this is just slightly raised, and it looks just fine. I don't have an AMS unit. So here's the Star Destroyer. You can see it fits upside down. And it's very similar to the micro hangars that some of y'all might be familiar with from the past. And I replaced my micro hangars with these, and I prefer these. So there's your flight stand, and you have the base, and then you have the Star Destroyer supported there. And then here's the lid. You can see the parts that hold the base in place and then holds the ship in place without putting too much wear and tear on your vessel. So that's the Star Destroyer. Next up will be the Imperial Light Carrier. This one's very simple. It's stored almost the same way. You see a little keyhole there. Stored on top. Here's the bottom of the lid. I have it backwards. There you go. Next up is the interdictor Star Destroyer. It's going to fit very similar to the Star Destroyer, except this one's upright. Here's the bottom of the lid. As you can see, I'm holding it upside down, shaking. It's holding in place nicely. So you want to make certain you use proper rare earth magnets. That way the lids will hold. I actually have had one of these boxes drop from 5 feet off of a shelf, and it didn't break. The ship was perfectly okay. It was actually, I believe it was this one. It was one of my victories. It was not this one because this one has a broken antenna, but one of my victories saw as the 2 of my victories have the antenna still on top, and it didn't break. So there's your victory. And this one is stored upside down. There's the bottom of the lid. So there's going to be a little bit of movement in there, and that just it reduces wear over time, but it's not excessive. And so these boxes would be great for if you're moving and you want to protect your ships. This is great. And this is one of the reasons why I printed these out, was just in case I had to move again, because this would be like the 5th time, then I'd be able to move without having to worry about these ships getting damaged. So next up is the Onager Star Destroyer. Here's the bottom. I keep putting these on backwards. As you can see, the lids are almost exclusively one direction, so you can't improperly store them. Let's see here. Next up will be Gladiator class Star Destroyer. This is relatively simple. So this is going to be one of your small bases that isn't on the universal hangar. The next up will be the Imperial Raider, Imperial Assault Carrier, and the Imperial Light Cruiser. And these are all going to be in the same size hangars, and they're all going to fit the exact same way. So this just reduces the ability of your ship's pegs from breaking, from taking them off the flight stands and putting them back on. And so I'm okay with the universal sizes. It reduces complexity, so I can just count how many ships I need and then print that number off and not have to worry about matching the proper ship to the proper hangar. So these are the Imperial ship hangars. They are $34 if you want to buy them as a faction, and can be purchased at $73 with all the other factions. So next up is the ship hangars for the Rebel Alliance. Now these hangars are $34 for the faction. Can also be purchased with all other factions for $73. And so if you have more than one faction that isn't just the Republican Separatists, then obviously that's the best deal for you. So I'm going to start off with the small ship bases first. You got the Nebula B frigate. You see it just fits right on top there. Then we've got the Hammerhead Corvette. And so just, if you haven't noticed, these pegs here on the lids push down the bases, and that's what keeps this from moving. And so what you're hearing rattling isn't the base, but it's actually the flight stand underneath it moving in its little spot. And so that's what keeps these small ships, like the Rebel transports, secured. So that's what you're hearing. Next up is the Carillion Corvette. So these are all using the same base. And then you've got the Phoenix Home, which is the Rebel Pelta. This one is on a slightly larger base. So as you can see, the storage is a little bit different here. So if you compare these side by side, they're the same width, but their height is different, their length is different. So next up is the MC-30C frigate. That's all there is to it. Holds it in place nice and secure. Next up will be the Assault Frigate Mark II. There's the lid. And there's the Assault Frigate. See that cut out there. I don't even want to begin to imagine how many prototype prints were required to get that shape just right. So there's your Assault Frigate Mark II. Next up is the MC-80 Cruiser Liberty type. So here's your Liberty. There's the lid. See the pegs for holding the wings down. Next up is the MC-80 Home 1 type. So there's your top. I actually have this upside down, don't I? Yes, I do. You can see I actually had this stored upside down, and it still wasn't affecting the storage. This is the proper way to store it, and this is the way I'm going to keep it. But good. Next up is the MC-75 Profundity class. Profundity. So you can see how that's stored in there. It slots right in. And there's your lid. And then finally, the Behemoth. And it's really funny because I have two Nigeri Starhawks. I have two of these. So this is a significant amount of filament. I think this is something like 800 grams of filament. And you'll understand why. I'm sure you can reduce that. I did it at 10% infill, but I'm sure you could have it far less if you use like lightning prints. As you can see, this is a massive block of material. So if you do a lightning print, this will probably be a lot less. And I would say that's what you should do. I didn't do it because I didn't know about lightning prints when I started these printing these, and at that point it didn't really matter. But there's your Starhawk. As you can see, or hopefully you can see, there's really no wear on the paint on the ships. And this is just a stock paint job. I haven't painted any of my ships or primed them, but just slots right in there and locks in place. I will say this is one of the ones that I would be hesitant to turn upside down and shake, but it's a solid box, and it does solve the problem that I had with my Starhawks, is I had no place to store them in a way where they might get broken. So that ends the Rebel Ship Hangars. Again, they're $34 for the faction, or you can be purchased with all other factions for $73. Next up is the Ship Storage Hangars for the Galactic Republic and Separatist Alliance. Now, Mr. Dulkes has these grouped together for a total cost of $34 on his store. So there are only 4 ship hangars per faction. And I'm going to show each of these here. So we'll start off with the Republic. This is the Venator. Him, top comes off. Card sleeve there. As you can see, Venator fits very well inside. You can take it out. You've got your stand and the base. So it goes in there just like that. and there is a front, and there is a back when it comes to the lid. So as you could hear, that was the stand that was moving, not the ship itself. So next up is the Acclamator class assault ship. Let's see how that fits in there. Then you have your stand and the base. Slides right in there. It's a little bit of wobble, but when you put the top on, you can see the piece there. The two wings here, they hold that in place. So that's the Acclamator. Next up is the Pelta. All it is just one piece, slides right in. And then the Consular class cruiser. Now, Consular class cruiser appears to be the same size as the Pelta, but it's actually smaller. You cannot fit a Pelta class in the Consular hangar. So it fits like that, but you'll have overhang here on this piece. And so when you try to close it, you just won't close. But if you want to make things simple, you can just print the Pelta class and use it for all your small bases for the Republic, and it'll work just fine. And there aren't any issues there. And I kind of made that mistake on accident, where I printed some extra Pelta classes instead for the consulars, and that's just it really doesn't affect anything else. So that's the Republic. So next up, we'll do the Separatist Alliance. So you got your hard shell class transport, and this is the same as the consular class, as you can see there. And it just fits in on top, same as the others. And you'll see this a lot with the smaller ships. You haven't noticed already. That's just kind of how they are for the smaller ships in the smaller stands in the game. So here's the Munificent class frigate. You can see he's protecting the easily breakable wings and the fine tips. They just slide right in there. And I have not seen any wear on my ships from use. So as you can see, these two pegs here, they straddle the wings and they keep the ship level when it's in use in the box. Next up is the Recusant class destroyer. So there's your top there. Which fits over this the flight stand base on the ship. So this one's stored upside down. This one has pretty easily breakable pieces on the end here, and so it's stored upside down. As you can see there. This one also has a one direction only for the lid. And then finally, we have Providence class destroyer carrier, or the Invisible Hand. You can see how that's stored there. So that's all of the ships and the ship hangars for the Galactic Republic and Separatist Alliance. Again, this is going to run you $34 if you decide to purchase these as a set instead of buying the entire collection. And finally, I'll be showing the Star Wars Armada tray system. Now, this can be purchased from his Etsy store for $20, and it will store anything and everything related to this game that isn't a ship, or the ship cards, or the upgrade cards. So let's go ahead and open this up. As you can see here, this is a very chunky box. It's multiple different layers, and it can either be thicker or thinner depending on what you decide to print for your storage. So open it up. You just have your standard lid. And all of these trays will use the 5 by 10 millimeter magnets. So we'll start off with this, and I'll go ahead and separate it off. This is where all your ship tokens are, your dice. So you got a little dice tray here. Comes right out. So I use this for my objectives, so I can store my entire objective deck in here. I also keep this here for the damage deck, and then any of my shortcut cards. I also have the cards for the stations, just in case the objective requires it. And then you have your token tray. And this actually separates from the tray. Sometimes I clip a couple of these extra out, but this is the token tray. It also has your speed dials. It has your order dials, order tokens, raid tokens, and then your defensive tokens. And then it also carries your campaign tokens. So if you have those, victory points, all that. And then, you know, some of your specialty tokens, they'll all fit in here. There's more spaces than you'll ever need. But that's good, just in case there had ever been, maybe there's more tokens added to the game or expansion with Legacy or any of the other groups that are trying to keep the game live and going. So this stores back in here in this tray, and this is your top here. And then you can just drop your dice back in, and your card packs still slide right in there. There you go. So that's your tokens tray portion. Then you can print any number of these trays. These are card trays. So the first one is your Squadron Tray. So give you 2 defense tokens. If you want to label them with numbers, you can put your tokens up there, and then this holds cards. So these don't hold sleeve cards, and the main reason is because the space. This probably could be redesigned to fit sleeve cards, but coming from the designs that I do for Legion, it'd be really difficult to find that space without redesigning the whole kit. But regardless, it's very useful for the squadrons. Then you also have your ship trays, so you can put your chips in here, chip cards, upgrade cards, defense tokens, your command tokens, command dial, speed dial, all that all fits in these trays. So you can print out as many of these as you want, and they just stack right on top, just like that. And then finally, it has a slight variation, and this one works for the Super Star Destroyer. So you can see there's a slot here. Let's see if I can get a better angle. You can see the slot here for the Super Star Destroyer card, but it also works as a ship card. And these will work for your standard trading card size, then your tarot card sizes, and then this one specifically is for your Super Star Destroyer size. And then you've got all of your objectives and scenario tokens. They'll fit in here. This tray will fit whatever the allotment is that will be used. So if you want to store more than what you normally use in a game, then you may have to print out 2 of these. But for the game itself, for all the objectives and secondaries and all that, it'll fit everything there. Then next up, you've got your movement rulers, and they just slide right in there. Not too hard to get them to fit in the slot. And it's really not that difficult to store them after use in a game. And then finally, at the bottom, you've got your range ruler, and then tons of space for identification tokens or anything else you might use in, say, a campaign. And then finally, he added a new range ruler tray, custom request by me. So get your little bays here for these tokens. And then this also holds the Litco range rulers for your squadrons and ships. So that'll fit there. If you use this token or this range ruler tray, you cannot use this as your bottom. This has to be your bottom piece, either or. So that's basically the box. I'm probably going to print out another 1 or 2 ship card trays just to have them. But this has been very useful. Yeah, it's bulky, but it's just one item that you have to keep track of. And because it's rectangular, you can put it into another box. So say if you have a bin and you're going to use that along with the ship hangers, and then maybe you want to bring your cards as well. So you get your tarot card holder box. You can fit your upgrade cards in there. I got one of these off of Amazon for $20. Super useful. Works perfectly for what I need it to. And that's it. So this is all I'd have to do. If I want to go to a game, I bring this box, my ships, and then my cards, and I'm done. And this takes up very little space, and since it's rectangular, you can fit inside of other storage devices like your boxes and bins.
Next up is the Squadron boxes. Now these can be purchased for $12, and they come in many different combinations, whether it's a 1x2, 1x3, 1x4, 1x5, 2x2, 3x3, 4x4s. So you can stack up multiple squadrons up and across. Now there are multiple different versions, mainly two different versions of these boxes. So you'll have some that have this side slot. So this allows it so that when you're storing your squadrons, and say you have them stored kind of like binders or books, you can see the symbol here, and that lets you know, hey, all of my X-wings are here, or my X-wings and Y-wings, or whatever squadrons you decide to combine in one piece. And then on the front, you can print out the squadron plates. And so this is your identifier. This is Luke's X-wing squadron, or Biggs, or Wedge, or whoever you're going to do the. And when you look inside, you can see it's got magnets here to hold it in place. Now he says to use N52 magnets, and he's not lying. If you get the weaker magnets, they don't always like to hold. So this is me using the weaker magnets. Don't do what I did. But the squadron fits in there nice and tight. When the front panel's in place, squadron doesn't move. And there's also a slot here for an extra disc. So for those of you who swap your discs out for squadrons because you don't want to paint all of them, or just because you don't have enough squadrons for your unique squadrons, that allows you to swap the disc out if you need to. And so, as I showed you before, you have your side slot here, and then the front plate as well. This just snaps right in. This is what the piece looks like unprinted, before you put the identifier plate in, the name plate, and you just slide it in. Sorry, I'm doing this the wrong way. And it just pops right in. So you can swap these out if you really want to, just to change up your combinations. But that's the squadron box. I probably wouldn't use these to store my squadrons unless I only had a few. So I have just shy of 200 squadrons. That's a lot of printing. I think it'd be like 16 or 17 of the 4x4s. But if I'm going to a game and I want to protect my squadrons and I don't want to bring all of them, this would definitely be a way to bring them, because, again, with your ship hangars, these are rectangular, so they're easy to slot into some kind of storage bin, or whatever you're using to transport your ships and your squadrons and all that with it. So this is great for that because it is rectangular, so it'll fit into those little nooks and crannies that you still have in your storage bin that you're using to transport your stuff. And it protects your squadron, and more importantly, it also identifies your squadron. So when you pull these out, it just looks really cool. And so as you can see here, this is a raised plate. I painted the raised plate. That's because I do not have an AMS unit, but he also has some pieces. He has versions of the nameplates where they're not raised, and those are for AMS units. So this is a squadron box. As I said before, I just printed out the 1x1 just to show you what you can do with it. But there are different versions: 1x2, 1x3, 1x4, 1x5, 2x2, 3x3, 4x4, and so there are many different combinations for you to print with or without the side slot. So this is the squadron box.
As you saw at the beginning of the video, we had the Armada tray system. Again, I love that tray system. I purchased it after the squadron or the ship hangars, and I've enjoyed using the tray system. It's big, it's bulky, but the fact is everything that I need for the game outside of the ships and the ship cards are in that box, and so I can just grab it as a chunk. I can put it into my storage device and bring that and then offload it on the table. That's it. So it's not, even though it's big, it's bulky. It's one item. It holds everything that I need except for the ship cards and the ships themselves. And so I have really enjoyed using it, and I like the fact that I have all the tokens and all the dice cards, everything. It's just all right there. So that is $20 on his website. And he also saw the ship storage boxes, the ship hangars. And so you can either spend $34 for the Rebel faction, $34 for the Imperial faction, or $34 for the Republic and Separatist factions combined. Or if you have multiple factions, um, then you can spend $73 and get all of the ship hangars. And so if you've got a lot of ships or you have multiple factions, that is what I would recommend that you do, because it saves you money. It saves you, um, it's one fewer purchase of a faction. And so I really enjoy the ship hangars, mainly because I I've moved a lot, and so I wanted a way to transport my ships in a way where I didn't have to worry about them getting broken, or if they fell, they wouldn't get damaged. And so I had the cardboard micro hangars that some of you might be familiar with from the past, and I replaced them all with the 3D prints. The only thing that I don't have a ship hanger for is my Super Star Destroyer, but that's because I still have the original box, and that is a perfect transportation for that ship. And so the ship hangers I have mainly for storage. That way I can take up as little shelf space as possible, because I don't display my ships anymore, mainly because I almost all my display space is taken up by Star Wars Legion uh, minis and terrain. However, I do have all my ship boxes out, and I also use them to transport the ships from my home to the game store and back for games. So again, highly recommend if you're worried about your ships getting damaged during transit, um, especially if you've only got just a few ships. Buy the faction pack and print out the ships for your faction, and that way you don't have to worry about them getting damaged during moving or to and from the game store. Especially for those of you who go to tournaments, I highly recommend you get these. They're fantastic for traveling um, uh, with an airplane, because they will fit into a suitcase. You can even put them into a shoebox or what have you to reduce the amount of movement they'll have. So I can't recommend the ship hangers enough. Um, they're just it's my favorite item in his store. And so again, $73 for all factions, and then $34 for each faction. And the Republic and Separatist factions are combined for $34. So the link for his website can be found in the description below. If you use the coupon codes in the bottom left-hand corner of my video, that will give you a 10% discount on all Armada items in his shop. That coupon code is Road Group Workshop. It's all one word. And then again, that'll give you 10% off on all Armada items in his shop from now until the end of the year. And that would be the end of 2025. Um, and if you do miss this, he also has sales every now and then. I don't know when they are. Maybe has some on Labor Day or Black Friday, Cyber Monday, um, Easter, I don't know. But I've seen him have sales throughout the year. So if you do miss out on this coupon code, or you miss out on the holidays, just keep an eye out. You can always get it on sale if you want to save a few bucks. But if not, I recommend you purchase it at full price, because this guy deserves it. The amount of work that he put into getting these ships um, to fit in the boxes was enormous. If I remember correctly, just watching him, it took him over a month at least, and he could be even more clear that it may have taken even longer. So again, love these products. Can't recommend them enough. Link can be found in the description below. And with that, that ends today's episode. If you enjoy my content, please remember to like and subscribe. I mainly cover only Star Wars Legion material, but every now and then I will jump over to Star Wars Armada, just because it's a game that I love and I play. Eventually, I'll get my resin printer set up, and I will start printing resin ships, and I'll start bringing those reviews in for those ships, and other things for it as well. But until that time, I wish you all adieu and have a good day.